Alright, what is up you guys? I am here with the WrestleMania 20 review, the fancy collector's edition. This is a really cool set. Pick this up. It's one of a kind. They haven't really done a set like this since then, so definitely try to get that one. It's not that expensive. Where it all begins again. Madison Square Garden, great atmosphere, of course. I love when they go there. And unfortunately, they'll probably never be back there for a WrestleMania again, unless it's maybe like 50 or 100, to be honest. So, I won't even be here for WrestleMania 100, so it doesn't matter in the slightest. So, this actually holds probably my favorite moment in the history of wrestling is on this pay-per-view, but we will get to that. So, we have the opening match, Big Show versus John Cena for the United States title. Nothing special at all for this match. Kind of like WrestleMania 21, John Cena's match there. It's more just to jumpstart him, give him that push. And, this didn't really go that long, kind of predictable. But, we had an interesting ending. John Cena pulling a heel move to win. And to kick off his United States title run, which he would hold for a while. We even got the customized spinner belt, which was foreshadowing for other things. And then we had the Fatal 4-Way match for the World Tag Team Championship. I hate multi-team tag matches, unless it's like TLC. I just don't like them. Like every year we usually get like a triple threat or a Fatal 4-Way tag team match. I just don't like them. I think they're a mess. We had two of them on this card. I'll just go over both of them while we're at it. RVD and Booker T versus the Dudley Boys versus Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak versus Les Resistance. And this was for the Raw Tag Team titles, the World Tag Team titles. And the SmackDown Tag Team titles were the WWE Tag Team titles. And that one was Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi versus APA versus the Basham Brothers versus the World's Greatest Tag Team. The reason I'm bunching these together is format-wise, they're pretty much identical. It's just to get both tag team title matches on there. And I do give them credit for having both titles on WrestleMania. I hate it when titles don't get on WrestleMania cards. Like the mid-card titles especially. So, nothing really special in these matches. It's not like they're really doing much to get really anyone over. I mean, Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi, that was not a fan of that team. I always thought Scotty 2 Hotty's the Worm. That move is just so stupid. It's literally 30 seconds of build-up and then a little chop. And that's supposed to pin somebody. So, moving on from those matches, they're all right, but it does kind of, it gives you a piss break if you need it. So, moving on, we had Chris Jericho versus Christian. This was good. I'm a huge fan of both of them, especially Christian. Where's the love for Christian? Come on. And this is a great match. We had the kind of turn from Trish Stratus, which no one really expected that, so that was really cool. And, this isn't as good as Chris Jericho's previous WrestleMania match at 19, but it kind of resembled that at some points. So this was definitely a good match, and really cool rivalry. Great build-up to it, great aftermath, just really good stuff. And then we had the 2-on-3 handicap tag team match, The Rock and Sock Connection, of course The Rock and Mick Foley, versus Evolution. I'm a huge Evolution fan. And here we had Batista, Ric Flair, and Randy Orton. So, this was a really good match, but, it's more just the spectacle of having The Rock and Mick Foley back in the ring together. And, I'm glad they put Evolution over. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't like that. I know people didn't like it. But I think it's the right move. I mean, Evolution was big, especially Randy Orton. At the time, Randy Orton was meant to be the star of Evolution, or the up-and-coming star. So, this was a fun match. Definitely a great combination between those five. So, good stuff. And then the first ever Playboy evening gown match, aka the Piss Break. Sable and Tori Wilson versus Stacy Keibler and Miss Jackie. I'm not really a fan of any of these people. Like, you had Sable, which is just... it's the female Brock Lesnar. That's basically what it is. And then coincidentally, they're married. Tori Wilson, not the biggest fan of her either. Stacy Keibler, you know, she was alright. You know, she was basically... I mean, she was good, but at the same time, obviously she was only there for her looks. And then Miss Jackie, not many people remember who she was. So we probably won't be seeing her in the Hall of Fame, but we will be, for some reason, seeing Tori Wilson. So, yeah, there's really not much to say about this one. And then we had the interpromotional match, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, with Stone Cold as the special guest referee. This match has become infamous by now. And, you know, Brock Lesnar was going to the NFL. Goldberg was leaving. Fans knew that. You're in New York. East Coast is the smart crowd. And they tore this to pieces. And I will give them credit. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, they had fun with this match. And the crowd. I'll give them credit for that. But this was a complete disaster. Luckily, they made up for it, 13 years later. We already said that one. Okay. Women's Championship. Victoria versus Molly Holly. And Molly Holly actually only shaved her head after this so she could ensure herself a position on the card. So, would you shave your head if it meant going to WrestleMania? I would. But, you know, this is, you know, Victoria's great, Molly Holly's great, you know, two very talented women. And, you know, I'm glad they got a higher up position on the card. And, you know, it's a decent match. We didn't actually get to see all of Molly Holly's head shaving, but I do like how it just continued until it was done. Like, even into the next entrance, you know, it was great. It was hilarious. And then we had the WWE Championship, a dream match for a lot of people at the time. Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. And this was a great match. To say this wasn't match of the night, it's pretty crazy. That just shows what the two main events, what high caliber they were. But, you know, you had Eddie Guerrero winning with the boot. And, you know, while doing these reviews, I usually don't go through, like, the backstage stuff, but there was a great backstage segment with Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, so that was really cool. And, you know, this is a great match. It's everything you expected it to be, and then you had Eddie Guerrero winning with Eddie Guerrero fashion. And then we had the Return of the Dead Man gimmick versus Kane. You had Paul Bearer come out, because obviously Survivor Series, Kane buried Undertaker alive, and he came back as the Dead Man. You know, this match was pretty short. You know, I think this one suffered from time constraints because, you know, this was a long WrestleMania. This was the longest at the time. Little did we know we'd get 7 to 10 hour pay-per-views. Jesus Christ. But yeah, this honestly wasn't that great of a match. But I can't really say I'm disappointed, because, you know, at the time, it was just more for the Dead Man to come back. You know, I'm not a fan of the biker gimmick. I'll probably get shit for that. I just wasn't... I know Mark Calloway loved it, and Vince hated it, and that's why we haven't really seen it since. But yeah, it's great to see the Dead Man back, and Paul Bearer is a nice surprise. They even had the Druids come out with the kind of wick, I don't even want to call them, like the rope wick candles, you know, torches. And then we had probably my favorite WrestleMania main event, the Triple Threat World Heavyweight Championship match, Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus Chris Benoit. And I'm not afraid to mention his name, and I'm also not afraid to say he's one of the greatest of all time. It's one of my all-time favorites. This was awesome. it's very reminiscent of WrestleMania 30, and it's actually very reminiscent. If you actually go back and watch this match, beat for beat, you can compare a lot to WrestleMania 30 with Bryan. But, this was great. You had Shawn Michaels, very deep blade job. Triple H was bleeding at one point. We had the great announce table spot, which, took Benoit out for a little bit. He came back. He made Triple H tap out to the crossface. And then we had your new World Heavyweight Champion. And you may be asking yourself, what's my favorite WrestleMania moment? Probably my favorite WWE or wrestling moment, period, is when Eddie and Chris Benoit celebrated together. Such a meaningful shot. And I actually plan on getting a shadow box. I was actually looking today for a shadow box, because I have the Eddie Guerrero autographed DVD as well as the Chris Benoit autographed DVD. And I'll actually put them both in there and then maybe print out a picture of their WrestleMania 20 celebration. That'd just be so cool. I definitely want to do that. I'm going to do that sooner rather than later. But overall, this WrestleMania had a lot of filler with the Fatal 4-Way tag matches. The evening gown match. Yeah, that was obviously not really meant to be there. But you did have two very strong main events. World Heavyweight title matches, I should say. And the WWE title match. And, yeah, I'm going to give this show, I'm going to give it a B. I'll give it a B+. B+. You had a lot of great moments, some very strong matches. I might be generous here with a B+, but I think it deserves it. This WrestleMania has a great legacy, and this one will always be remembered, but unfortunately, there is the dark spot in the main event, with a lot of WWE uploads on YouTube or reviews. They just don't include the main event. So it's just Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus, Error 404 or something like that. But yeah, let me know what your opinions are on this WrestleMania. Highly, just love this pay-per-view. So, for now, this has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.